I discovered my fiancé bought an engagement ring for someone else. Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I found the receipt on a Thursday morning while looking for my car keys. It was tucked into the pocket of his jacket, the one he'd worn to work the day before. A receipt from Tiffany Co, dated 3 days ago, for an engagement ring. My heart leaped. This was it. This was the moment I'd been waiting for, dreaming about, planning in my head for months. He'd bought the ring. He was going to propose. I stood there in our bedroom, holding that slip of paper with trembling hands, a smile spreading across my face so wide it hurt. I wanted to scream with joy. I wanted to call my best friend and tell her it was finally happening. I wanted to start planning every detail of our wedding. But then I looked closer at the receipt, at the name on the order, and it wasn't mine. The name on the receipt was Emma Collins, not Emma Thompson, which was my last name. Not even close. A completely different person. I stared at those two words until they blurred. Emma Collins. Emma Collins. Emma Collins. The name repeated in my head like a broken record, each repetition driving a knife deeper into my chest. Who was Emma Collins? And why was my boyfriend buying her an engagement ring? Let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. To this moment where my entire world shattered while holding a piece of paper in a bedroom that suddenly felt like it belonged to a stranger. I met Ryan 3 years ago at a friend's New Year's Eve party. It was one of those magical moments that felt like it was straight out of a romantic movie. The countdown to midnight had just finished. Everyone was kissing and hugging and celebrating, and I was standing alone on the balcony, looking out at the city lights, feeling a little melancholy about another year gone by. Not a fan of crowds? A voice said behind me. I turned to find a man in his early 30s, tall with dark hair and green eyes that seemed to catch the light from the string lights hung around the balcony. He had a kind smile and was holding 2 glasses of champagne. Just needed some air, I said. I get that. Here, I brought you a drink. Seemed wrong to let you start the new year empty-handed. We talked for hours that night. About our jobs, our families, our dreams. He was a financial advisor at a prestigious firm downtown. I was a marketing coordinator at a tech startup. He told me about his plans to start his own firm one day, about the house he wanted to buy, about how he'd always imagined having a family. What about you? He asked. What do you want? The usual, I guess. A career I'm passionate about. Someone to share my life with. A home that feels like home, you know? Not just a place to sleep, but somewhere that's ours. Filled with memories and love and maybe a dog or 2. He smiled at that. That sounds perfect. We exchanged numbers at the end of the night. He texted me the next day asking me out to dinner. That dinner turned into a second date, then a third, and before I knew it, we were in a relationship. Those first few months were everything I'd ever dreamed of. Ryan was attentive, romantic, thoughtful. He'd send me flowers at work just because. He'd plan elaborate dates that showed he'd been paying attention to things I'd mentioned in passing. When I casually mentioned loving a particular author, he showed up the next week with a signed first edition of their latest book. How did you even get this? I asked, completely amazed. I have my ways, he said with a wink. I just wanted to see you smile. He met my parents after 3 months. My mother pulled me aside in the kitchen and whispered, "He's wonderful, Emma. Don't let this one get away." I had no intention of letting him get away. I was falling in love with him, hard and fast and completely. We moved in together after a year. His apartment was bigger than mine and closer to both our jobs, so it made sense. I remember unpacking my boxes in what was now our bedroom, hanging my clothes next to his in the closet and feeling this overwhelming sense of rightness. This was it. This was the person I was going to spend my life with. Happy? Ryan asked, wrapping his arms around me from behind as I arranged my books on the shelf. So happy, I said, leaning back into his chest. I love you. I love you too. More than I ever thought possible. Those first few months of living together were wonderful. We fell into comfortable routines. Coffee together in the morning before work. Cooking dinner together in the evenings. Lazy Sunday mornings in bed. Movie nights curled up on the couch. It felt like we were building a life together. Brick by brick, day by day. Around our 2-year anniversary, the conversations about marriage started. Not in a pressuring way, but in that natural, excited way that happens when two people know they want to spend forever together. What kind of wedding do you want? Ryan asked one night as we walked through the park near our apartment. Nothing too big, I said. Maybe 100 people. Somewhere outdoors if we can, like a garden or a vineyard. Something intimate and romantic. What about you? I just want to marry you, he said, pulling me close. Everything else is just details. My heart soared. These were the conversations I'd been hoping for, the signs that he was thinking about our future as seriously as I was. I started looking at engagement rings online, not because I wanted to pressure him, but because I was excited. I'd save pictures of rings I loved and show them to my best friend Sophie over brunch. This one is perfect, I'd say, showing her a picture of a simple solitaire diamond on a white gold band. Classic but elegant. What do you think? I think you're going to be a beautiful bride, Sophie would say with a smile. And I think Ryan knows how lucky he is to have you. I believed her. I believed that Ryan and I were on the same page, moving toward the same future. Every conversation about marriage, every when we get married instead of if we get married, felt like confirmation that a proposal was coming soon. But looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. The little red flags I explained away because I wanted so badly to believe in the fairy tale we were supposedly living. It started small. Around month 26 of our relationship, Ryan started being more protective of his phone. He'd always been pretty open about it before. Would leave it lying around, wouldn't flinch if I picked it up to change the music or look something up. But suddenly he was taking it everywhere with him, even to the bathroom. He'd angle it away from me when he was texting. He'd get calls and step out of the room to take them. Who was that? I'd ask when he came back. Just work stuff, he'd say. Or just my brother. Or just Ryan from the gym. Always an explanation. Always reasonable. Never any reason for me to doubt him. He started working late more often. Coming home at 8, 9, sometimes 10 at night, claiming he was swamped with clients or working on a big project. I'd have dinner waiting, or I'd save him leftovers and he'd eat quickly and then claim he was exhausted and needed to go to bed early. Our sex life, which had always been good, started to decline. We went from being intimate several times a week to maybe once a week, if that. When I'd try to initiate, he'd say he was too tired or too stressed from work. Is everything okay? I asked him one night after he'd turned me down for the 3rd time that week. You seem distant lately. I'm fine, he said, kissing my forehead. Just stressed. This project at work is killing me, but it'll be over soon and then things will go back to normal. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. Because the alternative that something was wrong with us, that he was pulling away from me, was too scary to consider. There were other things, too. Mysterious charges on our joint credit card that he'd explain away as work expenses or gifts for his family. Times when he'd say he was going to the gym but would be gone for 3 hours. Weekends where he'd claim he had to go into the office, coming home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. Did you get a new air freshener at work? I asked once, noticing the unfamiliar floral scent on his shirt. Oh yeah, the cleaning service uses something new, he said without missing a beat. It's pretty strong, right? I'll ask them to switch back. Every question had an answer. Every concern was smoothed over. And I let it happen because I didn't want to be the paranoid girlfriend. I didn't want to be the woman who couldn't trust her boyfriend. I didn't want to ruin what we had by being insecure and suspicious. But deep down, some part of me knew. Some small voice in the back of my mind was screaming that something was wrong, that the man I loved was lying to me, that I was being betrayed. I just didn't want to listen. About 3 months ago, Ryan started talking about marriage more seriously. He'd bring it up out of nowhere, asking questions about what I wanted for our future. "How many kids do you want?" he asked one Saturday morning over breakfast. "2, maybe 3, I said, my heart racing with excitement that we were having this conversation. "What about you?" "I think 2 sounds perfect. A boy and a girl would be nice, but as long as they're healthy, right?" "Right," I agreed, reaching across the table to hold his hand. "I can't wait to start a family with you." "Me neither," he said, and he looked so sincere, so genuine that I fell in love with him all over again. He asked about venues, about dates, about who I'd want in my bridal party. He asked my ring size, which made my heart nearly explode with excitement. This was happening. He was planning to propose. All my dreams were about to come true. I told Sophie everything. "He asked my ring size," I squealed over the phone. "And he's been talking about the wedding like it's actually going to happen soon. I think he's going to propose any day now." "I'm so happy for you," Sophie said. "You deserve this. You and Ryan are perfect together." I started subtly planning my reaction to the proposal. Would I cry? Would I scream yes? Would I be able to speak at all, or would I be too overwhelmed with emotion? I imagined telling my parents, posting the announcement on social media, showing off my ring to everyone I knew. I even started a secret Pinterest board with wedding ideas, dresses I loved, color schemes that spoke to me, venues that looked magical. I'd spend hours scrolling through it, imagining my perfect day, the day when I'd become Mrs. Ryan Mitchell. 2 weeks ago, Ryan told me he had to go on a business trip, just a quick weekend thing to meet with a potential client in Boston. He'd be leaving Friday morning and coming back Sunday night. "I wish I could come with you," I said as he packed his bag Thursday night. "Me too, babe, but it's going to be all work, super boring. I'll make it up to you when I get back. Maybe we can plan that weekend getaway you've been wanting to take." "That sounds perfect," I said, kissing him goodbye. That weekend, I decided to surprise him by organizing his closet. He'd been complaining about how cluttered it was getting, and I thought it would be a nice gesture. So Saturday afternoon, I put on some music and started going through his clothes, sorting things to keep, donate, or dry clean. That's when I found the jewelry box. It was tucked in the back of his sock drawer, hidden under a pile of athletic socks he never wore. A small black velvet box from Tiffany Co. My hands were shaking as I pulled it out. This was it. The ring. He'd already bought it. The proposal was imminent. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew I should put it back and let him surprise me, but I couldn't help myself. I had to see it. Just a quick peek at the ring that would symbolize our love and commitment. I opened the box. Inside was the most beautiful ring I'd ever seen. A round, brilliant diamond, at least 2 carats, set in a platinum band with smaller diamonds along the sides. It was elegant, classic, perfect. It was exactly what I would have chosen for myself. I slipped it on my finger, watching it catch the light. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd asked my ring size. I stood there for a moment, admiring it, imagining the moment he'd present it to me. Maybe on a beach at sunset, or during a romantic dinner, or maybe something simple and intimate, just the 2 of us at home. Then I noticed something. Inside the band, there was an engraving. I slipped the ring off to read it, expecting to see our initials or the date we met. Instead, I saw, "To Emma C. Forever yours R. Emma C. Not Emma T. Not just Emma, Emma C." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. My vision went blurry. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the ring. Emma C. Who the hell was Emma C? My last name was Thompson. Emma Thompson. I'd never been Emma C, unless he'd somehow gotten confused and thought my middle name started with a C. But it didn't. My middle name was Rose. I put the ring back in the box with trembling hands, my mind racing. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a family ring and Emma C was a grandmother or something? Maybe he was planning to have it re-engraved before he gave it to me? Maybe I was misreading the inscription. I looked again. The engraving was clear as day. To Emma C. Forever yours, R. That's when I saw it. The small envelope tucked under the ring holder in the box. I pulled it out with shaking hands and opened it. Inside was a receipt. From Tiffany Co., dated 1 week ago, for one engagement ring. Customer name, Ryan Mitchell. Ring to be engraved with, to Emma C. Forever yours, R. Ring to be shipped to, Ryan Mitchell, at an address I didn't recognize. Another apartment somewhere across town. And at the bottom, in the notes section, pickup date, next Friday. Proposal planned for Saturday dinner at Russo's. Russo's, the restaurant where Ryan and I had our first date, our special place. But this ring wasn't for me. This proposal wasn't for me. I sat down hard on the bed, still clutching the receipt and the ring box. My mind was reeling, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, trying to find any explanation that didn't involve the man I loved betraying me in the most devastating way possible. But there was no other explanation. The facts were clear, damning, undeniable. Ryan had bought an engagement ring for another woman, another Emma C. And he was planning to propose to her at our restaurant, the place that was supposed to be special for us. I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been minutes or hours. Time seemed to stop, or maybe I was just dissociating, my mind unable to process the magnitude of what I'd discovered. Eventually, I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. I pulled up Facebook and searched for Emma Collins. And there she was, the first result. A beautiful blonde woman about my age, smiling at the camera. Her profile was mostly private, but I could see a few public photos, including one from 3 weeks ago, of her and Ryan, together. His arm around her waist, both of them laughing at something off camera. The caption read, "Best weekend with my favorite person." I scrolled further. More photos of them together. At restaurants, at the beach, at what looked like his other apartment. Photo after photo, dating back months. 6 months? 8 months? Maybe longer. And there were photos from even before that, but they were different. Professional photos. Work photos. I recognized the logo in the background. It was Ryan's company. I went to her profile information. Emma Collins. Works at Mitchell Financial Services. My blood ran cold. She worked at Ryan's company. They were co-workers. I clicked on the About section, and there it was. Relationship status. In a relationship with Ryan Mitchell. Since 8 months ago. 8 months. He'd been with her for 8 months. While living with me. While talking about marrying me. While asking my ring size and planning our future together. I thought I was going to be sick. I ran to the bathroom and dry heaved over the toilet, my body rejecting this reality, trying to purge the knowledge that my entire life was a lie. When the waves of nausea finally passed, I stumbled back to the bedroom and looked at the ring box again, still lying open on the bed. The ring sparkled in the afternoon light, beautiful and terrible, a symbol of love that belonged to someone else. I took photos of everything. The ring, the receipt, the engraving, Emma's Facebook profile, all the evidence I'd need when I confronted him, because there was going to be a confrontation. There was no way around it. I considered calling him right then, screaming at him over the phone, demanding answers, but I knew that wouldn't satisfy me. I needed to see his face. I needed to watch him try to explain this away. I needed to look him in the eye when I destroyed his lies. So I put everything back exactly as I found it. The ring in the box in the drawer, the receipt in his jacket pocket. I went back to organizing his closet like nothing had happened, like my entire world hadn't just imploded. Ryan came home Sunday evening like he said he would, rolling his suitcase through the door with a tired smile. "Hey, babe," he said, kissing me on the cheek. "Missed you." "How was Boston?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Exhausting but productive. The client signed, so that's good. How was your weekend? Productive too, I said. I organized your closet like I mentioned. Something flickered across his face. Fear? Panic? But it was gone so quickly I might have imagined it. That's great, thanks, he said. I'm beat. Mind if I just shower and head to bed? Sure, I said. I watched him walk down the hallway to our bedroom, wondering if he was going to check the drawer, wondering if he knew I'd found his secret. But he didn't check. He just grabbed his clothes and went to shower, and I sat on the couch, my mind screaming while my body remained perfectly calm. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to him in bed, listening to him breathe, wondering how many nights he'd lay next to her, wondering if he compared us, wondering which one of us he really loved, or if he loved either of us at all. I thought about everything, every moment of our relationship, every conversation, every promise, every time he said he loved me, every time we talked about our future, every time we made love, every time I trusted him completely and without question. It was all fake. All of it. Built on lies and deception. I was living with a stranger. Loving a stranger. Planning a future with someone who was planning a different future with someone else. The next morning, Monday, I called in sick to work. Ryan left for the office like usual, kissing me goodbye and telling me to feel better. The moment he was gone, I started digging. I checked our bank statements. There were charges I'd never noticed before, or had noticed and believed his explanations for. Restaurants I'd never been to. Hotels in the city where we lived. Why would he need a hotel in our own city unless he was meeting someone there? Jewelry stores, flower shops, all on days when he'd told me he was working late. I checked our phone records. Hundreds of calls and texts to a number I didn't recognize. Starting about 10 months ago. The frequency increasing over time. Some of the calls lasted an hour or more. I called the number. A woman answered. Hello? I hung up. It was her, Emma Collins. Her voice was soft, friendly. The voice of a woman who had no idea that her boyfriend was living a double life. Or did she know? Was she in on it? Did they laugh about me together? About the stupid girlfriend who had no idea what was happening right under her nose? I spent the entire day gathering evidence, putting together a timeline, understanding the full scope of Ryan's betrayal. And with each piece of information I uncovered, my heart broke a little more. He'd met her at work, obviously. Probably around 2 years ago when she started at the company. I found her LinkedIn profile. She'd joined Mitchell Financial Services 2 years and 2 months ago, right around the time Ryan started being weird about his phone. They'd probably started as work friends, maybe grabbing lunch together, maybe having drinks after work, maybe working late on projects together. And somewhere along the way, it had become more. I tried to pinpoint when exactly he'd decided he wanted to be with her instead of me. Was it gradual? Or was there a specific moment when he looked at her and thought, this is the woman I want to marry? And why hadn't he just broken up with me? Why keep both of us? Why live this elaborate double life, lying to both of us, pretending to love me while planning a future with her? The answer, I realized, was because he could. Because I'd made it easy for him. I'd never questioned his explanations. I'd never pushed back when he was distant or secretive. I'd trusted him completely because I loved him. And love meant trust, right? Wrong. Love should mean trust, but only when it's earned, only when it's reciprocated with honesty and loyalty. And Ryan had given me neither. By the time he came home that evening, I had made my decision. I knew what I needed to do. I'd practiced what I was going to say. I'd prepared myself for this conversation. Hey, he said, hanging up his coat. Feeling better? Not really, I said. We need to talk. His face changed. He knew. Something in my tone, my expression, my energy. He knew that I knew. About what? He asked cautiously. About Emma Collins. The color drained from his face. For a long moment, he just stood there, frozen, his mouth slightly open like he wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. Don't lie to me, I interrupted, my voice sharp. I'm done with your lies. I found the ring, Ryan, the engagement ring you bought for her. I found the receipt. I saw the engraving. To Emma C., forever yours, A.R. I've seen her Facebook. I've seen the photos of you two together. I know everything. He sank into the chair, his head in his hands. Emma, Don't say my name, I said. You don't get to say my name. Not after this. Not after what you've done. I can explain. Explain what? That you've been cheating on me for nearly a year? That you bought an engagement ring for your mistress while living with me, sleeping in my bed, talking about our future together? That you were planning to propose to her at our restaurant? What exactly can you explain that would make any of this okay? It wasn't supposed to happen like this, he said. And he actually looked distressed, like he was the victim in this situation. How was it supposed to happen, Ryan? Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to propose to her and then come home and keep pretending with me until you couldn't anymore? I love you, he said, looking up at me with tears in his eyes. I do love you. But I also love her. I didn't mean for it to happen. We were just working together, and we became friends. And then it was more, and I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know how to choose. So you didn't choose, I said bitterly. You just kept us both. Had your cake and ate it too. Do you have any idea how sick that is? How cruel. I know, he said. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You're still hurting me. Every moment you let this continue, every lie you told, every time you touched me after being with her, you are hurting me. I'll end it with her, he said suddenly, desperately. Right now. I'll call her and end it. I'll tell her it was a mistake. I'll tell her I choose you. We can fix this. We can... No, I said firmly. We can't. There's no fixing this, Ryan. You bought her an engagement ring. You were planning to propose to her. You don't do that for someone who's just a mistake or a fling. You love her. Maybe more than you ever loved me. That's not true. Yes, it is. And you know what? I hope you're happy with her. I hope she makes you happy. Because I can't be with someone who could do this to me. Someone who could lie to my face every single day while living a completely separate life with another woman. I deserve better than that. Please, he begged. Please don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll cut off all contact with her. I'll quit my job if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. You can't fix this, I said, and I felt strangely calm now. Resolved. You shattered my trust, my faith in you, my entire understanding of our relationship. You made a fool out of me. You let me plan our future while you were planning a different future with someone else. That's not something you can fix with promises and apologies. What about the last 3 years? He asked. Doesn't that mean anything? We built a life together. We have history. We have nothing, I interrupted, because it was all based on lies. Everything I thought we had, everything I thought we were building, it was fake. You were fake. The man I fell in love with doesn't exist. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and pulled out the suitcase I'd packed earlier while he was at work. What are you doing? He asked, following me. I'm leaving. I'm going to stay with Sophie until I can find my own place. You can have the apartment. You can have the furniture. You can have everything. I just want out. Emma, please. Stop, I said, holding up my hand. Just stop. There's nothing you can say that will change my mind. You made your choice when you started seeing her. You made your choice when you bought her that ring. You chose her. So be with her. Marry her. Have the life you were planning. Just leave me out of it. I never meant to hurt you, he said again, and he was crying now. I believe you, I said. I believe you didn't set out to hurt me. But you did hurt me, Ryan. You destroyed me. And the worst part is, you kept doing it. Day after day, lie after lie. You could have ended it with me months ago. You could have been honest. But you didn't because you wanted to keep both of us. You wanted to have everything. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm sorry too, I said. I'm sorry I trusted you. I'm sorry I wasted 3 years of my life on someone who was capable of this level of deception. I'm sorry I was so blind that I didn't see it sooner. But I'm not sorry I'm leaving. That's the only choice I'm making that I'm not sorry for. I picked up my suitcase and headed for the door. Ryan followed me, still pleading, still apologizing, still trying to make me stay. Does she know? I asked, turning to face him one last time. Does Emma Collins know about me? Does she know you live with another woman? Does she know you're cheating on her too? His silence was answer enough. You should tell her, I said, before she marries you, before she builds her life around you the way I did. She deserves to know who you really are. I will, he said. I'll tell her everything. No, you won't, I said, because you're a coward. You'll keep lying, keep hiding, keep trying to have everything until it all falls apart. But that's not my problem anymore. She's not my problem anymore. You're not my problem anymore. I opened the door and walked out, closing it behind me on 3 years of my life, on the future I'd imagined, on the man I'd thought I loved. Sophie was waiting for me when I got to her apartment. I'd texted her earlier, told her I needed a place to stay, that I'd explain everything when I got there. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. What happened? She asked. And I told her everything. About the ring, about Emma Collins, about the double life Ryan had been living. I told her about the confrontation, about his pathetic attempts to fix what he'd broken, about walking away from the man I'd thought I was going to marry. I'm so sorry, Sophie said when I finished. I'm so sorry. You don't deserve this. I know, I said. And I did know. I knew that none of this was my fault. I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't been a bad girlfriend. I hadn't driven him to cheat. He'd made that choice all on his own. What are you going to do now? Sophie asked. I don't know, I admitted. Find a new apartment. Figure out how to untangle our lives. Move on, I guess. You'll get through this, Sophie said. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you will. You're strong and smart, and you deserve so much better than him. I just feel so stupid, I said. How did I not see it? How did I miss all the signs? You trusted him, Sophie said. That's not stupid. That's what you're supposed to do in a relationship. He's the one who betrayed that trust. That's on him, not you. Over the next few days, I started the process of dismantling my life with Ryan. I separated our bank accounts. I changed my passwords. I blocked him on social media. I went back to the apartment when he was at work to get the rest of my things. I also did something I probably shouldn't have done. I reached out to Emma Collins on Facebook. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. It's about Ryan. She responded within an hour. Who is this? I'm Emma Thompson, Ryan's girlfriend. Or I was, until I found out about you. There was a long pause. Then, what are you talking about? Ryan doesn't have a girlfriend. I sent her the photos of Ryan and me, of our apartment, of the lease with both our names on it, of text messages where he called me babe and said he loved me, of everything that proved our relationship was real. Another long pause. Then, oh my God. We met for coffee the next day. It was awkward and painful and necessary. Emma Collins was beautiful and kind and devastated. She had no idea I existed. She'd met Ryan at work. They'd become friends, and about 8 months ago, they'd started dating. He'd told her he lived alone. He'd told her he was single. He'd told her he loved her and wanted to marry her. He told me he was going to propose soon, she said, tears streaming down her face. He asked my ring size last month. He's been talking about our future together. He did the same with me, I said. Asked my ring size, talked about kids and houses and the rest of our lives. I feel like such an idiot, she said. You're not an idiot. Neither of us are. He's just a really good liar. We compared timelines, shared stories, pieced together the puzzle of Ryan's double life. He'd been meticulous about it. Different date nights with each of us, different friend groups. He'd kept us completely separate, never letting either world touch the other. What are we going to do? Emma asked. I already left him, I said. I can't be with someone who could do this. What about you? I don't know, she admitted. Part of me thinks I should confront him, make him face what he's done. But another part of me just wants to walk away and never see him again. Whatever you decide, I understand, I said. But if you do confront him, I hope you'll let me know how it goes. She nodded. Thank you for reaching out to me, for telling me the truth. I know that couldn't have been easy. You deserve to know, I said. I would have wanted someone to tell me. We hugged goodbye, two women who had nothing in common except the man who had betrayed us both. A week later, Emma texted me. I confronted him. He tried to deny it at first, then he cried and apologized. He begged me to forgive him. I told him to go to hell and blocked his number. Good for you, I texted back. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Angry, hurt, but also relieved. At least now I know the truth. At least I didn't marry him and find out later. Same here, I replied. We dodged a bullet. We really did. That was 2 months ago. I'm living in my own apartment now, a cozy one-bedroom in a neighborhood I love. I've thrown myself into my work, gotten a promotion, reconnected with friends I'd neglected while I was so focused on Ryan. I've started therapy to work through the betrayal and figure out why I missed so many red flags. Some days are harder than others. I still have moments where I think about him, where I wonder what he's doing, whether he's with someone new, whether he's learned anything from losing both of us. But mostly I'm just grateful I found out when I did. Grateful I didn't marry him. Grateful I didn't have kids with him. Grateful I'm not still living that lie. I'm also grateful for the lessons I've learned. About trust, yes, but also about self-worth. About not ignoring red flags just because you want something to work. About listening to that small voice in the back of your mind that tells you something is wrong. About knowing your value and refusing to settle for someone who doesn't see it. My therapist says I'm making remarkable progress. That I've handled this situation with grace and strength. That choosing to leave, to respect myself enough to walk away from someone who betrayed me. That takes courage. I don't always feel courageous. Sometimes I feel broken, damaged, like I'll never be able to trust anyone again. Sometimes I wonder if I'm destined to be alone, if I'll ever find someone who actually means it when they say they love me. But then I remember what my mom told me when I finally told her what happened. She held my hands and said, "You didn't lose anything real, sweetheart. You lost an illusion. And now you have space in your life for something authentic." She was right. I didn't lose the man I loved. I lost the fantasy I'd created of who he was. The real Ryan, the one who could live a double life for months without remorse, who could buy an engagement ring for another woman while sharing a bed with me. I never loved that man. I couldn't have, because I never knew him. About 6 weeks after I left, I got a message from Ryan. He'd somehow found a way to contact me despite being blocked everywhere. The message was long, rambling, full of apologies and explanations and pleas for forgiveness. He told me he'd ended things with Emma, that he'd realized his mistake, that I was the one he truly loved, that he'd been confused and stupid and would spend the rest of his life making it up to me if I'd just give him another chance. I read the message once and deleted it. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He'd had his chance, 3 years of chances, actually, and he'd chosen to spend them lying to me. Sophie asked me if I felt any satisfaction knowing he'd lost both of us, that his double life had collapsed and left him alone. Not really, I said honestly. I don't want him to suffer. I just want him to be irrelevant to my life. And he is. Slowly but surely, he's becoming less important, less present in my thoughts. The man who once consumed my entire world is now just a painful memory, a cautionary tale, a chapter that's closed. I've started dating again, tentatively. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinner with guys I meet through apps or friends. I'm not ready for anything heavy yet, but I'm also not going to hide away from the possibility of love just because I was hurt. My therapist says that's healthy, that I'm not letting Ryan's betrayal define my future, that I'm choosing to remain open despite the pain. One date turned into a second, then a third. His name is Michael, and he's a teacher at a local high school. He's kind and funny and straightforward. On our third date, I told him about Ryan, about finding the ring, about the double life, about how hard it's been to trust again. I understand if that's too much baggage, I said, watching his face carefully for signs that he was about to run. It's not baggage, he said gently. It's experience. It's part of your story. And I'm glad you trusted me enough to share it. I'm trying to trust again, I admitted. It's not easy. It shouldn't be easy, he said. Trust is earned, not given, and I'm willing to earn it if you'll let me. I'm taking things slow with Michael. Maybe too slow for some people's standards, but it's what I need right now. He's patient with me. When I get anxious about something, when old wounds resurface, he listens without judgment. He's transparent in ways Ryan never was. Shares his phone password without me asking, tells me about his day in detail, never makes me feel like I have to compete for his attention. Is this too much? I asked him once after I'd had a minor panic attack when he didn't text me back for a few hours. Am I too damaged for this? You're not damaged, he said firmly. You were hurt by someone you trusted and you're healing. That's not damage, that's recovery. And no, it's not too much. You're worth the patience. I'm learning what healthy love looks like, how it should feel to be with someone who's honest, who's consistent, who doesn't make you question your sanity or doubt your worth. I'm learning that real love doesn't make you anxious or insecure. It makes you feel safe. I ran into Ryan about 3 months after I left. It was at a mutual friend's birthday party. One I'd considered skipping, but decided I wasn't going to let him control which social events I attended. He was there with a date. Not Emma Collins, someone new. A petite redhead who looked nervous and uncomfortable. He saw me across the room, and for a moment, our eyes met. I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no longing. Just a vague sense of pity for the woman he was with, whoever she was. He approached me later when I was alone getting a drink. Emma, he said, can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea, I replied, keeping my tone neutral. I just want to apologize. Properly this time. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. Yes, I did. I agreed. But it doesn't matter now. We're done, Ryan. We've been done for months. You need to move on, and I already have. Are you with someone? He asked, and there was something in his voice, jealousy? Regret? That might have pleased me once. Now it just made me tired. That's none of your business, I said. But yes, I'm seeing someone. Someone who respects me. Someone who's honest with me. Someone who would never do what you did. I really am sorry, he said. I know you probably don't believe me, but I am. I think about you all the time. About what I lost. About how stupid I was. I believe you're sorry you got caught, I said. I believe you're sorry you lost the comfortable life you had with me. But I don't believe you're sorry for what you did. If you were, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Ryan. But it is just. You made your choices, and now you live with the consequences. That's all there is to it. I walked away from him then, back to my friends, back to my life. A life that no longer included him, no longer revolved around him, no longer made space for his lies and betrayals. Sophie found me a few minutes later. "Was that Ryan you were talking to?" "Yeah," I said. "He wanted to apologize." And nothing. He's just another guy I used to know. Ancient history. "Look at you," Sophie said with a proud smile. "You've come so far." She was right. I had come far. From the woman who found that receipt and felt her world crumble, to the woman who could face her ex with calm indifference. From someone who defined herself through her relationship, to someone who knew her worth independent of anyone else. The journey wasn't easy. There were setbacks and bad days and moments when I questioned everything. Nights when I cried myself to sleep, wondering why I hadn't been enough for him. Days when I felt angry at myself for not seeing the signs sooner, for trusting so blindly, for loving so completely. But I also had moments of clarity and growth. Moments when I realized that his betrayal said everything about him and nothing about me. Moments when I felt grateful for the experience, as painful as it was, because it taught me what I will and won't accept in a relationship. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive heartbreak and come out the other side, that I don't need someone else to complete me or validate me or make me worthy of love. I was always worthy. Ryan just couldn't see it. Or maybe he could see it, and that's why he tried to keep me while pursuing someone else. Maybe he knew exactly what he had in me, and he was greedy enough to think he could have it all without consequences. Emma Collins and I stayed in touch for a few weeks after our coffee meeting, bonding over our shared experience. She sent me a message about a month after we'd both left him. "I'm seeing someone new, someone transparent and honest. It's weird how different this feels." "I know exactly what you mean," I replied. "It's like discovering what relationships are actually supposed to feel like." "Thank you again for telling me the truth," she wrote. "I know it wasn't easy for you." "Thank you for believing me," I replied. Not everyone would have. Eventually, our conversations tapered off. We didn't have much in common beyond Ryan, and neither of us wanted to keep rehashing the past. But I'm glad we talked. Glad we were able to support each other through that difficult time. Glad we both got out before it was too late. Last week, I was going through some old photos on my phone, deleting ones that no longer served me. I came across a selfie Ryan and I had taken about a year into our relationship. We were at the beach, both of us sunburned and happy, smiling at the camera like we didn't have a care in the world. I looked at that photo for a long time, trying to reconcile the happy couple in the picture with the reality of what our relationship had been. That woman in the photo had no idea what was coming. She thought she'd found her forever person. She thought she was building a life with someone who loved her as much as she loved him. I felt sorry for her. Sorry for all the pain she was about to go through, all the betrayal she'd have to endure, all the trust she'd have to rebuild from scratch. But I was also proud of her, because she survived. She found the strength to leave. She chose herself over a comfortable lie. She rebuilt her life into something authentic and meaningful. I deleted the photo. Not out of anger or bitterness, but because I didn't need it anymore. It represented a version of myself and a chapter of my life that was over. I was ready to move forward without looking back. Michael and I have been dating for 4 months now. It's still early, but it's good. Really good. He's consistent and communicative and makes me feel valued every single day. We're taking our time, building a foundation of trust and respect. "Do you ever worry that I'll turn out to be like him?" he asked me recently. "That I'll hurt you the way he did?" I thought about it carefully before answering. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Sometimes I get scared that this is too good to be true, that you're just better at hiding things than he was. But then I remember that those fears are about my past, not about you. You've given me no reason not to trust you." "And I never will," he said. "I promise you that. I will never make you feel the way he made you feel." I want to believe him, and most days I do. I'm learning to distinguish between intuition and trauma, between legitimate concerns and old wounds reopening. It's a process, but I'm getting better at it. My therapist says that healing isn't linear, that there will be good days and bad days, progress and setbacks, that the goal isn't to forget what happened or to pretend it didn't affect me, but to integrate the experience into my story in a way that makes me stronger rather than bitter. I think I'm doing that. I'm not the same person I was before I found that receipt. I'm more cautious now, more aware, more protective of my heart. But I'm also more confident, more certain of what I deserve, more willing to walk away from anything that doesn't serve me. Finding out that Ryan had bought an engagement ring for another woman was the most devastating experience of my life. It shattered my sense of reality, my understanding of love, my faith in my own judgment. It made me question everything I thought I knew about relationships and trust and commitment. But it also freed me. Freed me from a relationship that was built on lies. Freed me from a future with someone who would have continued to betray me. Freed me from settling for someone who saw me as one option among many rather than as an irreplaceable partner. I look back now at the woman I was, the one who was planning her perfect wedding, dreaming about the ring he'd give her, believing wholeheartedly in a future that was never going to happen. And I feel compassion for her. She did nothing wrong. She loved openly and honestly and completely. She trusted in good faith. She built a life based on promises that weren't being kept. She deserved better, and now she has better. Today is Friday. Michael is coming over for dinner. I'm making lasagna, my grandmother's recipe, and we're going to watch a movie and just enjoy each other's company. Simple, uncomplicated, honest. This morning, I realized something. I'm happy. Genuinely, authentically happy. Not the desperate, anxious happiness I felt with Ryan, always trying to prove myself, always worried about losing him. But a calm, steady happiness that comes from being with someone who values me, from knowing my worth, from building a life that's truly mine. The ring that Ryan bought for someone else? For Emma C., whoever she was supposed to be in his web of lies, that ring represented a future that was never meant for me. And I'm grateful for that now. Because the future that is meant for me is so much better than anything I could have had with him. I don't know where things will go with Michael. Maybe he'll be my forever person. Maybe he won't. But either way, I know I'll be okay. Because I've learned the most important lesson. My happiness doesn't depend on someone else choosing me. It depends on me choosing myself. And I do. Every single day, I choose myself. I choose honesty over comfortable lies. I choose self-respect over settling. I choose authentic love over desperate grasping. Ryan bought an engagement ring for someone else while living with me, loving me, making promises to me. It was a betrayal that could have destroyed me. But it didn't. Instead, it transformed me. It made me stronger, wiser, more certain of what I deserve. And what I deserve is someone who would never dream of giving their forever to anyone but me. Someone who sees me as irreplaceable, not as good enough until something better comes along. Someone who loves me with the same honesty and devotion that I give to them. I found that receipt on a Thursday morning and my world shattered. But from those pieces, I built something new. Something better. Something truly mine. That's my story. That's how I discovered my fiancé bought an engagement ring for someone else, and how that discovery, as painful as it was, became the catalyst for me finding myself again. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. But I also wouldn't trade the lessons I learned, the strength I gained, or the woman I became because of it. I'm not defined by Ryan's betrayal. I'm defined by how I survived it, how I rose from it, how I refused to let it break me permanently. And that makes all the difference.